Okay. Listen. Once upon a time, not too long ago, I told Alex and Gloria and Melman that I wanted to go to the wild. And you know what happened. We were about to get shipped to Africa. We crash land on Madagascar. We kind of had life there. It's actually the same place I saw in my dream. And then we end up getting the ship back, only to learn that there's no fuel. So we gotta make a plane to fly away from Madagascar en route to New York City, only to crash land into Africa now. So me, Alex, Melman, Gloria, and the penguins find a way to escape from Madagascar when the penguins reassemble a wrecked airplane. The precariously repaired craft stays airborne long enough to make it to the African continent, and then we, the New Yorkers, encounter members of our own species for the first time, okay? Africa proves to be a wild place. It proves to be a more wild place than the Madagascar. And that's fine because they're relatively close in proximity. One is off the coast from another continent. You know, I was trying to I looked at this and I knew. Melma was like, is this San Diego too? I was like, no, it's not San Diego. This is Africa. Like, it's gotta be. I can feel it in my blood. This is our ancestral ground. But Africa proves to be a wild place, but Alex and company wonder if it is better than our Central Park home. Now, for those of you that don't know, my name is Marty the Zebra. And this is Welcome to Stripes on Sinemas. That's Sinemas with an S, okay? Sterling asked me to come down here to give my thoughts on our Africa adventure and how I learned what I am. You know, I ran into a whole bunch of versions of myself, still voiced by the same man. They all sound like me. That's because they're my African cousins. That's because they're my cousins. They're my blood cousins, so they will sound just like me. You know how I know? Because it's in my blood. But I looked at myself, and I looked at everybody else around me, and the pattern of their fur, and the pattern of their manes. And you know, I've always wondered, am I white with black stripes? Or am I black with white stripes? And I learned, hey, I'm black with white stripes. If I was white with black stripes, I wouldn't be talking like this. So if you are new to Stripes on Sinemas, that's Cinemas with an S, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell and leave a comment on section below, whatever good or bad you have to say about this herd, about Alex, about Moto Moto, or about everything we have went through in Africa. Don't forget to say whatever you have to do to make those numbers stimulate, okay? We have to afford to go to Europe. If we don't get those numbers, we will not make it to Europe. That's what I'm just saying. Now, although Madagascar Escape to Africa can easily serve as the designated model for the original film, there was not a crate of luck in the world for the sequel. There's clearly a continuity with the storyline, but if the first Madagascar would have started with us escaping the island and crash landing on Africa, it would have worked for me. It would have. Let me tell you why. This would have meant that we would have never saw New York, because New York's Central Park Zoo would remain a platform for how we know each other, for how we did not start there. See, the film opens up with a rather emotional one. The only thing I believe the sequel benefits from, and that is the father-son relationship between Alex and Zuba, voiced by the late great Mac Man himself, Bernie. Bernie Mac. The one who ain't scared of you mother zebras right there. But the backstory of how Alex became the zoo's most popular attraction. See, Alex has been my best friend since he came to the zoo. But I haven't known him all his life, so I don't know where he comes from. But now, here we are, and I know where he comes from. He comes from the same place me, Melman, and Gloria come from. Not the penguins. The penguins come from somewhere else. But obviously, one of the most beautiful things about the original Madagascar was the landscape and the rural environment. But just like the island itself, it lacks the spacious qualities necessary to tell a multi-layered story. The grand scale of each of the narratives in the Madagascar franchise feels synonymous to whatever location we find ourselves in. The joys to take us back to our respective blood grounds, like I said, it's like the movie Roots. To take us back to our blood grounds was no random avenue, but rather a convenient one. Madagascar is only off the coast to Africa, and we were being shipped there in the first place. So when you are flying 100 miles, hundreds of miles, headed to America with no detours or alternate routes, you will eventually find yourself over to Africa. I mean, how do you think the slaves felt? Okay, Africa to America is probably like a 45-hour flight. So you know that boat ride was real long. The boat ride is so long, that's those slaves on their way here. But in a way, this unfortunate strand on Africa actually made for a smooth recovery, since they were being transferred there in the first place. While Alex, myself, Melman and Gloria's dynamic is no different than it was on Madagascar, our interactions and sense of belonging with our respective species on Africa really gives us each our own time to shine in our own spotlight, as well as forming some bold layers of character work. For Alex the Lion, it feels personal as it is profound. We see that Alex only knew how to entertain rather than be a predator or a fighter. Now don't get me wrong, there have been times where Alex has been a pain in the butt. Trust me, I know. But so, watching this battle of rejection versus acceptance was mild as it was wild. It had been years since Alex and Zuba last saw each other, but that's when Zuba had no idea that when Alex calls himself the king of New York, it wasn't the type of king that makes you say, "I ain't scared of you, motherfucker." But it was for stage and not savage purposes. I swear that Marty, has some of the best memorable moments in this entire series. And a lot of that has to do with Chris Rock's voice going so amusingly well with the hooved-animal that was not a donkey. It's so fortunate when you got another black comedian playing another hooved-animal that steals the show. That is the sidekick to another DreamWorks protagonist. But Chris Rock being the voice of every zebra in Africa, besides just Marty, is an overdose of outrageousness. Unarguably, my favorite character moment is with Melman the Giraffe. I ain't talking about Jeffrey the Giraffe with Toys R Us. What is Toys R Us? That don't exist no more. What do they sell? Stuffed animals and plastic pieces? No, they ain't selling no Alex action figures. As long as they ain't selling no Alex action figures, it don't matter. But Melman and Gloria felt underutilized in the first film, and it never felt like they had real skin in the game. However, the tables turned with the revelation that Melman had always had feelings for Gloria. So, Gloria and Melman is what I would like to call platonic friends. So in case everything ain't working out between Gloria and that man Dingo Hippo Moto Moto, he got it. It's like, you know what a platonic friend is like to a woman? Like a in a glass case. In case of emergency, break open glass. And that's kind of what Gloria did with Melman, or that's kind of what Melman did to Gloria. This character arc works in a meta context with the analogy of the hippo and the giraffe. You young folks don't know about the hippo and the giraffe, but you will when you put that ring on that finger. It's happening. But it goes to show how much deserving Melman is of having Gloria in his life just by paying attention to more than just her weight, but to wait for the right time. Because Moto Moto is just pure superficiality. Everybody hates Moto Moto, but everybody loves Marty. Amidst having smaller roles, the penguins have never failed to satisfy us with their secret agent gimmicks. I mean, I don't know any other 4 penguins Antarctica that can put together a plane in less than 24 hours. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 64% recommendation of tourists that love Africa. 64% of those people are probably black with white stripes. But even when it feels like the weight of the first Madagascar is on its shoulders, Escape to Africa makes sufficient attempts to go forward with its continuity as they are fleshing out their characters like Melman and Gloria and myself, kinda. It deserves, even if it is adjacent in quality with the first Madagascar, it deserves a C-, 7.2 out of 10 stripes. 7.2 stripes out of 10. But that is all I have to say about Madagascar the moment we escaped to Africa, and now suddenly we are Europe's most wanted. But until next time, stripes, I'll be singing circus, Afro circus, Afro circus, Afro polka dot, Africa.